everybody, we're live. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Marky from Cambridge Social Media, and I have with me today the wonderful Rachel, who's going to talk all about Facebook groups. I've only known Rachel for a little bit, but her group, Rock Your Tribe, is incredible. So I know she's the expert. So I am going to hand over to Rachel in a moment, but please add your questions to the chat and we will have a Q&A section at the end. So Rachel, over to you.
Okay, well, thanks for having me, Marky. Thank you, Lenka. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. If you're watching live, say hi. If you're watching on the replay, say #replay. Learn how to say that. You're going to need it. So my name is Rachel. I have a group called Rock Your Tribe, and it's all about building your social media audience. And I have a big focus on Facebook groups. A lot of the principles that I teach about growing your Facebook group is transferable to anywhere on social media, because no matter which one of us you ask, we're going to tell you the same thing. Pro tip: know your ideal client avatar. How many times have you heard that, right? It's the same advice across the board in many, many ways, but the twist on what I teach is about building your tribe, really linking and bonding your group members together, because that is the secret sauce. So the way I came into this was purely by accident. I'm actually a former DJ. I'm also a former community organizer. So my whole background and experience is in bringing people together for a common purpose, for a common mission, filling empty dance floors or getting a community to work on a project together. And I launched a coaching business last October that fell flat on its face because I had no real tangible outcome attached to it. But I did start a Facebook group, because when you're an online coach, you have a Facebook group, right? It's like a thing. And I launched my Facebook group, and that failed immediately. But eventually I decided to really dig in and figure it out. And once I learned sort of the tech side of Facebook groups and how powerful they are and how the Facebook algorithm works, and paired that with my background in tribe building, community building, DJing, and put those things together, and it was like the fireworks went off. So, so here I am teaching Facebook groups, something that I failed at first. So take that with you. Remember that anything is possible. So here's what I have to tell you about Facebook groups. It is a labor of love. It's not easy to get it started. So you got to want it and you got to commit to it, because you get out of it what you put in. And the things that you need to know and understand when you're first starting, no matter where you are in your business, is who the group is for and what the point of it is. And it's okay if you don't have that nailed yet. And you can even use it to figure out who your business is for and what your offer to them is going to be. So this works whether you're just starting your business or you're further down the line. The same principles apply. In fact, this is how I figured out what the fudge I was doing in my business, to be honest with you. Is I knew I wanted to work with entrepreneurs. So I made a group for entrepreneurs and got them in there and just kept talking to them and finding out what they need and what's going on in their businesses and what are the gaps. You know, what is everybody else teaching them and what are they not teaching them, right? So Jedi mind trick, look for what the other experts are not teaching your people, right? Okay, so I got them in this group, talked to them, asked a zillion billion questions. So here's another pro tip: you don't need to be an expert. You just need to be a facilitator. And if you know the people you like to be around and generally what you want to help them with, just facilitate conversations and invite guest experts in and see, you know, what are they teaching? What are they not teaching? What are the lingering questions? Where do you fit into that puzzle? And that's going to help you narrow it down, who really belongs in the group and what you're going to help them with. And once you've built that trust and you've bonded them all together, you can put offers on the table and they're already going to be warmed up to you, versus just being on your public profile and talking about your stuff. That works. You will get leads that way on a long enough timeline. But if you want to speed things up, get your people into your clubhouse. And I look at it like a party, but some topics are not really a party. Like, let's be honest, there's a lot of fabulous coaches who help with trauma-oriented recovery style issues. And that's not really a party, but you got to make it a relief to be there. It's got to be a clubhouse for them, so we avoid creating a pity party. because that's not fun and it's really hard to sell to a pity party. So another pro tip there. So that's kind of like the broad picture of where I come from, what I'm doing, and conceptually what it looks like. I think we should probably talk about kind of the nuts and bolts of Facebook groups. Do you think, Marky?
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so cool. So let me kind of take you through a walkthrough of my group and point out some important things. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here it is. So I like to start from the outside in, because we got to think about when people are looking for a Facebook group. Like, when do you look for a Facebook group? When you have questions, you need a community, you have kind of a sensitive topic you're working on, or it's something to do with your industry, but you're not going to be open about your struggles, right? Like, as entrepreneurs, for example, do we put it out on our public profile when we're struggling to get clients? No, but if we have this like safe community where we can be honest about it, that's where we go to talk about, sales is hard, or, my launch flopped, or, all this, the normal stuff that we're not really going to put out there like that. Right. So imagine you're looking for a community to join, and you are going to the search bar at the top of the screen. Think about the words that you would use to find a group like yours. So we got to think about the name of your group and the first couple of things that people are going to see from the outside in. So it's really important to name your group where it indicates who it's for and what the point of it is. There's a million ways to make that work. You could say it's this thing for these people, or Marky and I have a friend named Chanel who's got a fabulous group called Digital Nomad Moms. I love the name of this group because it's like a descriptor person. So even if you're not a digital nomad mom yet, but you aspire to be, you belong in this group. And similarly with my group, where we're audience building for entrepreneurs, Rock Your Tribe, sort of the little branded bit in the beginning, but audience building for entrepreneurs, that's what you're getting yourself into when you come into my group. So if you're entrepreneur identified or aspiring to be, and you want to build your audience, my group is the group for you. The other things that you see from the outside in is a thumbnail of the banner, which is this little bit right here. So something to think about, just having some kind of part of your banner be composed in a way that it kind of makes sense for that little bit. It's hard. Like, the dimensions on Facebook graphics are very slippery to work with. So no pressure there, but something to kind of think about. And then what you get are the first two lines of your description. So do not waste this space. So this is the group for entrepreneurs who want to grow their tribe and make a massive impact. Boom. So don't waste that space on reminding people that there are rules, and make it about the people of the group. Like, this is the group for entrepreneurs who want XYZ. It's not so much like this is a space for blah, 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 because that centers on the space, center on the people that are going to occupy your space. So those are some tips about the name, the beginning of your description, and just thinking about your graphics if you can. It's a little tough. So let's go into the group now. So group size. Let's talk about group size for a second. You don't need to have a giant group. You need to just have a group with the right people where you're creating continuous and consistent growth. So it's not like you need 10,000 members, because if you got 10,000 people in the room who don't care about what you're talking about versus 100 people who love what you're talking about. So don't trip out about the size of the group, and stay focused on, are you getting the right people into your group, and are you consistently getting more people? Because you do want to continuously grow your group for a couple of reasons, because you do want to be widening your audience, but focus on getting the right people in the group. And that's going to take you right back to ideal client avatar, and just take your best guess and continuously work on this. And you're going to start from demographics. Like, that's what most people teach, is like, age, location, house, car, family, occupation, all that sort of like visibly identifiable stuff. But what you want to get to is psychographics. What are they thinking about? What keeps them up at night? What can you uniquely do for them that's going to improve their mental, their emotional, the inner stuff? That's what you're digging for with ideal client avatar. because there are many groups for entrepreneurs. This is a group for entrepreneurs. So what's the difference between your tribe, this group, and mine? It's a lot of it is how we see the world and the particular thing that keeps us up at night about our businesses. So for me, I'm trying to attract people who are really very, a priority for them right now is building their audience, more than other things that they could be prioritizing in their business. Okay, so here we are in my group. I just rebranded. So I finally worked up to hiring a branding person, a designer, to create my banner for me. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I would encourage you to dig deep for your personal brand, because you are selling you. At the end of the day, people buy from people. They buy based on emotion. And you've probably heard know, like, and trust like a billion times, but it's really true. So a really great piece of advice I learned from Desislava Dobreva, the branding queen, is that branding is the intersection of how you perceive yourself and how your tribe perceives you. So that leads us back to my DJ origin story. That's the part about me that everybody loves. I have a million other origin stories, but that's what everybody enjoys, and I enjoyed the most out of all of my all of my past lives too. So that brought me to this particular branding, and that's what you want to be aiming for. You don't need to look like everybody else. Whatever other coaches or people in your industry are doing, you don't have to do it. Really, like, be you and use your group to test your origin stories, because we all have had 9 lives, right? So test your stories and see what they latch onto and bring that out more and more. And that's going to allow your tribe to know you better. It's going to shape your tribe. And that's how you're going to wind up with the right people. Again, it's about bringing the right people to you, because ultimately you're going to help them, you're going to impact their lives, and you want to sell to them, because we are in business to make money. We got to sell stuff. So the best way to get to, like, shorten the distance, right, and to create, a stream of dream clients. I feel so, like, silly saying that, but like, there's a different, there's good clients and there's bad clients, and the best clients are the ones that vibe with you, right? So that means, taking a piece of your story and putting it out there for them to see. This is getting a little conceptual, so I hope that's okay. So now we're in our Facebook group, and I want to point something out. So the Facebook algorithm prioritizes notifications from groups. So what does that mean? So if we go to our notifications, this is from a group, this is from a group, this is from a group, this is from a group. That's not from a group, but this is from a group. Like, it's all groups for the most part. And so what happens is, when there's activity in your group and you have continuous engagement happening, the algorithm is going to notify your members that there's more stuff happening in your group. So, and the reverse is true. When you're not driving that engagement in your group, you get on that kind of downward spiral where it's like, nobody's seeing my posts. What's going on? It's because you've specifically got to let the algorithm know that your group is hot, and it needs to keep telling people that there's stuff going on in there. So how do you do that? You've got to create posts that get engagement on purpose. And the easiest way to do that is to ask questions. Like, you don't need to be explaining stuff to people all the time. Ask questions, and don't be random about it. Have a purpose, because ultimately you want to be learning about the people in your group so that you can identify who needs your solution, right? So you can get into a conversation with them, and I could ask, in my group, like, how important is it to you to build your social media tribe as an entrepreneur? And then people, say there are different reasons for that. And I can follow up with them and ask them, hey, like, thank you so much for participating on that thread in the group. Do you mind if I ask you some more questions about it? And you can kind of open up a conversation about what they're doing to build their tribe, to help their business so they can get clients. What are they trying with that? What's working? What's not working? And then if they get to a point where they're like, I just wish somebody would hold my hand to help me build my Facebook group, I could say, you know what? If I could do that for you, do you want to hear about it? And if they say, oh my God, yes, it's exactly what I need. Now I'm in a sales conversation. So this is how you link the Facebook group to making sales. By being intentional about the people you get into your group and the conversations you open up with them, because you're doing a service. Like, your business is to provide a service. So don't forget that. And people need to know, the way that you can help them enrich their lives. So your Facebook group is like the perfect place for you to do this. Okay, so what else can I tell you about Facebook groups? Marky, jump in anytime if you want to ask some specific questions, because I know I'm kind of like talking kind of broadly about the whole thing. So
I can throw in a couple if you want.
yeah.
So one of the questions was, should a group be private or public, and how do you decide which?
I like the private group, and I'll tell you why. Because it creates a sense of exclusivity, which, you know, people want what they can't have. So it kind of lends to the marketing of the group. And I think that giving people the reassurance that it is private and safe is really, really helpful to get people to let their guard down, which you need them to do. And then in the private groups, you have the option to set your 3 questions when people enter the group, and these are super duper important. Like, hold on, I need some water from all this talking. So your 3 questions and your welcome posts are really important for indoctrinating people into your group and letting them know what the vibe and the tone is. I see a lot of people kind of harping on the rules and kind of being very rules centric when you first walk into the group, which I don't recommend that. I don't like it. I find it like really off-putting, actually. So in your questions, first of all, you should be asking for email addresses, because you need to be building your email list, because if Facebook closes overnight, what are you going to do? It could happen. Like, who knows? So you got to be getting your email addresses at the very least, because Facebook could go out of business overnight and you'd have no control over it. And if you don't have a way to keep track of your people, that's it for you. You have to start over from zero. Other things you can do with your questions are ask if anybody is, are you actively working on building your social media audience right now? So you find out who, like where people are in the process. Because when you are putting your offer on the table, it's for people who are in a particular entry point, right? Because you take people from point A to point B. And if they're not at that point A, they're not the right client for you at this time. So you want to know where they are in the process. And you can also ask if people want information, you know, if you can, if they would give you permission to follow up with them. And then you can get into a conversation like, hey, thanks for joining the group. You said yes, that you'd like more information about audience building on social media. I'd love to hear more about, you know, you could either ask them, you know, what's going on in your life, in your social media life. People love to talk about themselves. And then you could decide, okay, they need this freebie that I made, or they need this checklist, or they need this live video I did, or whatever. You can gauge, or you can just go ahead and bump them something like, hey, here's my beginner's guide to Facebook groups. Here you go. I'm going to circle back with you in a week and see what you thought of it. So you should always be kind of facilitating these individual conversations, because at the end of the day, you need to be selling your stuff. And so a great piece of advice I got from Shauna Beckman, a sales coach that I love and adore and highly recommend. So she says marketing is talking to the many and sales is talking to the one. So I think of Facebook groups as sort of that like in between space where we are taking talking to the many and kind of like transforming it into talking to the one. Does that make sense? So the Facebook group affords you multiple opportunities to be having those individual conversations, which may or may not lead to a beautiful, you know, sales relationship happening.
So one of the questions, and it kind of fits into, so, you know, to build our list, how do we ask for that email address so that it sounds, you know, appealing? You know, because people don't just give their email addresses anymore. Like how do we construct that to make it fun appealing?
You could just ask them, you know, honestly, you know, drop your email address here for updates and notifications. And a lot of people do. You know, people, I feel kind of like funny about it, to be perfectly honest with you, because I'm like on way too many mailing lists. But it's one of those things that you should be building anyway, if only for that doomsday scenario, because it could happen like whatever happened to Vine, whatever happened to Periscope, like MySpace, Friendster, like now you know how old I am. there's nothing is guaranteed. No business is guaranteed. No social media platform is guaranteed. And the only way to really own your list of people is to own your list of people. So it's, it's kind of a doomsday prepper piece of advice, but you really, should be getting those email addresses.
What's the question? So where does the email go from Facebook?
Okay.
Any way to automate it?
There is a way to automate it, because unfortunately Facebook does not save those answers. It's so devastating at first when you find this out and nobody told you, because you go like accepting everybody and you figure there'd be like a database with this information. No, it's gone forever. I used to take screenshots of everybody and then like later dump it into like a spreadsheet and then dump it into ActiveCampaign. It was like such a nightmare. But I now have a a Chrome, what's it called? Extension? Plugin?
Yep.
What do you call it? It's called Group Leads. And I actually have an affiliate link if you guys want it. I wish this looked cuter than it does. But so this thing here, Group Leads, okay, so I can show you because somebody's wanting to join the group. And so I go here, and what happens is I have this custom improve all here. Oh, it's Linka. Hey, Linka. So when I do this, then it does this. And what it's doing right now is bouncing all of that information over into a Google spreadsheet for me. And it's adding everybody into a list in ActiveCampaign for me, where I have an automation, really simple automation, where people added to that list get a little welcome email with a link to a freebie. So that alone, that Group Leads plugin extension has saved me like hours of aggravation a week. I wish I started it sooner, because you start a Facebook group and you have no idea where this is going to go. You don't know like the best use of your time or like what you should be investing in. But keep track of that information and automate it if you can, because it comes in very handy later. You could even ask in your 3 questions, if you don't really have a freebie ready to go, like you're kind of in the beginning stages, just ask people, how did you make your way here? So if somebody comes to my group because Marky recommended them, I can circle back and be like, thank you so much for joining the group. Love to have you here. I saw that, Marky invited you. I love Marky, da 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 da. So it's like, it's all kind of circling back to having conversations with people, and that's going to allow you to sell your stuff a lot more easily.
Awesome. Are you able just to show us how to get to those questions?
Yeah. So if you are in the ... more and you go to edit group settings, and then I'll just point out a few things since we're here. So I have my group type set to social learning, and that's what allows you to have units in your group. So that's what allows you to organize posts and videos and things into learning units, which is super cool. So when you have guest experts, you can keep it all organized there. So when somebody new comes into the group, you can point them in that direction. And that's like a nice added benefit of being in the group. A benefit of being in Rock Your Tribe is you've got access to webinars and guest experts on just about every social media platform except TikTok. Need someone to do TikTok. But if you want to learn Instagram, I got Kimba Cooper in here. If you want to learn about podcasting, I've got Charlotte Foster in here. If you want to learn about YouTube, I got Kate Goddard in here. Like, I have all these badasses in here who are giving talks just like this about all the other platforms. So I can focus on Facebook groups, but if you want to learn the other ones, they are here. So, and they're all organized into units because I've set the group to social learning. Okay. So you also want to change your web address to a like a vanity ending, because like when you first set it up, you get kind of a series of letters and numbers here. You definitely want to change this here to something simple and reflective of the group. And so what are we doing? The 3 questions. So that is membership requests. That's this here, ask questions. And then you can pop in here and do your questions. So these are mine. So this is the group. This group is for online business owners and freelancers who want to create a social media audience. So I'm just reminding everybody who the group is for, what is the point, are you building your audience or hoping to in the near future, so I can see where somebody is in their process, which is going to help me determine how best to help them. Question 2, we specialize in helping, it's me. We specialize in helping business owners and freelancers create active Facebook groups. So here's the specialty. So they can build an audience and make more money. Would you like us to send you a private message with details explaining how? Type yes or no. So this is asking, like DMing people is like the rules of being a vampire. Like you have to ask if you can come into their house. Now you'll never forget that because I made a weird analogy. So this allows me to send somebody a message and follow up with them and either bump them a freebie or get into a conversation with them because they are interested in it. So this is getting away from the model of just jumping into people's DMs uninvited, because nobody likes that. So don't do it. Okay, so question 3, what's your best email address for freebies and reminders? Simple.
Awesome. I love it. I'm just absorbing it all. It's so exciting.
I know, this is like a barrage of information.
Oh, so good. So how do you move people to your group from your page?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you keep them coming back?
From your business page or from your personal profile? So I don't mess around with my personal page too much. It's good to have for a lot of reasons, and especially if you're going to do paid advertising at some point in the future, that all runs through your business page. That's sort of the location of things. So you want to have people interested in your business page. But I just kind of copy and paste stuff over there because it doesn't have any organic reach, really. Versus the group. That's why the group is so great if you are interested in the organic side of marketing, which is really where you should start, because you don't know if you've got something that people really want to buy until you've tested it and have had conversations with them. And you could waste a lot of money on paid advertising on stuff that you haven't road tested or the branding isn't resonating or whatever. So start with the group and then you can move on to your paid advertising once you've really nailed it. So moving people over from your page or moving them from your personal profile or even a different platform, which I've done. I've gotten people from LinkedIn over to the Facebook group because I was really LinkedIn focused for a long time. So the thing that I kind of pitch first is, I know you can't really be completely open about the things that you're going through out in public like this. Like as an entrepreneur, you're not going to talk about it. Like if you're on LinkedIn and it's your side hustle and you've got a main job who's not comfortable, like you can't be, you don't want them to know that you're building a business on the side because you might compete with them or you might quit or you're tired, like, energy and resources are going one way instead of into your job, whatever. That's a huge selling point for getting people into a private group and off of LinkedIn. And this has worked for me tremendously. And another thing is, like, you're not going to be that open about the stuff that you're going through. I have a friend, Michelle, who helps women in tech with their negotiation skills so they can negotiate a better, compensation package. And it's not like they're going to be open about that on LinkedIn. They're just not, because the people that they're going to be negotiating with will see that they're like, there are all these things that people are just not going to talk about out in the open. And I feel like that is a huge, huge selling point for why they should get in your private group. So that's what I talk about mostly. Another way I get people in the group is I go on my personal profile and I go live and I just talk about how freaking awesome my group is, because you just sell them on the feeling, right? People are buying into your energy. They're buying into being around you as a person. So just show up on your personal profile excited about your group, and just tell people it's freaking awesome and they'll join. Another thing I did, so you can do a 5-day challenge or you can do something simpler than that, which is what I've done is live video palooza. So I came to realize that my reference here didn't really land with people like outside of America. So Lollapalooza was like a big music festival, especially in the 90s. It was traveling around, and it's a big part of like the cultural element of my youth. So a festival, you know, is lovingly called blah, blah, blah Palooza. So, okay, now you're with me. So I called it Live Video Palooza and let everybody go live for the weekend for 5 minutes to introduce yourself and your business, to practice your live video skills. And so I put that out there. And I didn't have like a very robust marketing plan for this. I just talked about it. You know, I went out on Facebook and I went on LinkedIn and talked about it. Hey, do you want to introduce yourself? At the time I had like 580 people in the group, and I grew the group by like 60, 70 people, like almost overnight, just by putting it out there. Like, hey, do you want to introduce yourself and your business in a live video to a group of 580 entrepreneurs who really want to know who you are? And people just jumped in the group. So have fun with it. Like, create opportunities that only exist in the group that benefit, right? Here's the key. It's got to benefit them, right? It can benefit you, but it's really got to benefit them.
So that leads sort of in nicely. So how do you create content that's going to engage people, that's going to, you know, give value to you as well as them?
Mm-hmm. So what I do usually in the morning is I'll pose a question that is related to the topic as much as possible. Sometimes it's like right on, like, you know, it's very much about like, you know, who here wants to grow their social media audience, or, you know, so it'll be something about business. So we're kind of always revolving the conversation. And, you know, I'll make it about goal setting sometimes, and that kind of creates an opportunity for people to help each other, which is something that I'm always looking for. So it's not just me kind of talking at them and just me helping everybody all the time, but having everybody kind of help each other, which just strengthens the bonds in the group, which solidifies my position in their lives, if that makes sense. So you kind of have to think a little bit outside of the box of you positioning yourself as like sort of the singular leader, that where you just kind of like have individual connections with people. It solidifies your position as a leader more when you're facilitating those bonds between them. So other ways to create engaging content. So use the polling feature. So let me show you something here. So you can create announcements and pin them to the top. So right now I have something sitting up here about addressing politics and, you know, the issues of the moment as a leader, because that's something that, you know, we need to take very seriously as leaders of communities, as business leaders. We have a responsibility in certain times to take a stand for things, and it comes with the territory of being a leader, so get ready for it. So what I like to do is lead by example. So I kind of gave like a preamble to it, like, okay, this is the setup, this is the rationale, and then I gave them, you know, my statement on what's happening in America and globally concerning police brutality, Black Lives Matter, and what this means to me as a leader of a community of entrepreneurs that is multicultural and international. So here's my statement, and take it and use it if this will help you make your statement as well. So just, you have to be flexible with the times. And one giant mistake I've seen many like influencers make is just to stick to their pre-planned content, their pre-scheduled content, and not deviating from that. That is a huge mistake. Like, you need to be responsive to what is happening in the world. You are a leader, that's your job. Okay, so tangent. So up here in the announcements section, I have a couple. The one that sits on top is the one that is pinned to the top, and that's an option in the drop down. And one that I like to use, oh, this one was great. Ask me anything about Facebook groups. You can do an ask me anything about your topic, and people drop their questions. As you can see, there's a zillion comments. And then what happened with this is a lot of my answers that I posted right in here became content that I took out, edited, and reposted, and was able to use out on my public profile and on LinkedIn as well. So you basically can get them to tell you what they want you to talk about. That's my point. So you got to get away from assuming what you think people need to know, and let them tell you what they want to hear about. So that's the Jedi mind trick there. So this one was great. Ask me anything, because literally every single question and answer is its own post. Could be a video, could be repurposed a million times, it could be an article, could be a blog. Like, it's all there. And it's all stuff that I know that they want to hear about because they literally asked me. Another thing you can do is create a poll. So a welcome poll that usually sits on top, where I kind of make it part of the onboarding process. Like, oh, you're here. And now that you're here, the next thing you need to do is fill out this poll, because that's like part of the process of being here. So what I did was ask them, what do you want to learn in this group? And so I have a couple of options: growing an audience who cares about your mission as much as you do, getting ideal clients to engage with your content, creating an active Facebook group. To me, all of that stuff is very interchangeable, because I'm kind of like Facebook groups centered, because I think that's the best way to grow your audience. But not everybody necessarily wants to talk about Facebook groups, but they want to talk about their mission. They want to talk about getting their message out there. They want to talk about engagement. So this also tells me what kind of language to use and how to frame my content in a way that people want to hear about it. Because I could just decide, like, you guys really need to know about Facebook groups, and like create all this content that's just Facebook groups oriented, when they're telling me what they want to know about is growing an audience who cares about your mission. So that's like where I'm going to focus my message. And then I can kind of infuse that with, and by the way, Facebook groups are the best way to go about doing this. So that's how I attack that. And I can even see, here who has voted on these things. So when I do make posts that answer these questions or talk about it, I can go ahead and tag them in the comments and say, hey, Ashley, I made a post about blah, blah, blah thing that you're interested in. Check it out. So I can kind of nudge the engagement along. So use the poll. The poll's great. What else? Oh, this was from my Video Palooza. It was hilarious. The bartering thread. Oh, you guys should do this. This is so good in an entrepreneur group. What service do you need? And this is because somebody asked, like, somebody was looking to trade, like, web development with, I forget, but somebody asked. Like, I'm very responsive when it comes to content. Like, I don't assume that I know everything, like, I kind of like put my like detective hat on, right, and look for what people are saying, and then pull out of that, like, okay, I can make something out of that. So somebody was looking to trade services, and I was like, this is brilliant. What service do you need? What service can you give? Official barter thread. And people are making deals with each other. And I think people straight up have actually paid for other people's services. It's not all been just like a trade, like a service for service trade. Like, people are making money. And this is very, 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 very important to me as a leader of an entrepreneur group, is that I am helping people make money. Like, for me to frame it like it's my group only and I'm the only one who makes money here is no. Like, we should all be helping each other thrive in our businesses. And okay, here's something that really bugs me about some other entrepreneur groups, is when you're not allowed to talk about your Facebook group in their Facebook group. That's ridiculous, because Facebook groups are a central part of social media marketing, like, right now. So what, not allowing someone to talk about their Facebook group because somebody might leave your group and go to their group? Like, what kind of scarcity mindset is that? Like, please, if you know who your group is for and the reason for them to be there and you feel good about it, you should have no problem talking about somebody else's Facebook group. Like, come on. So let's see. Oh, so announcements for launches and challenges and things like that. So I try to keep my group kind of organized. I don't want to be just like a billboard after a billboard. Like, you're driving down the highway and all you see is billboards. Like, that sucks. So I try to keep it organized, and I know people have announcements all the time. So another thing I pinned to the top is a post for announcements. Not that I mind if people need to make announcements, but it gets overwhelming in entrepreneur groups. I'm trying to keep it organized and kind of like encourage people to come do guest experts in my group. Like, give something of value first, and then you can make your announcement on the back end. And so we can kind of be in that rhythm of give before you get kind of thing. Did I even answer the question? I'm totally just talking, Marky.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful just to know kind of what content to post that works. And you've given so many great insights to even like how you organize the group, because obviously when groups get bigger, they get a little bit clunky.
They do, and don't be afraid to hire a community manager at a certain point. Like that's definitely going to be something in my future, because when you're like, what do they call it, the chief everything officer, when you're the chief everything officer of your business, like at a certain point something's got to give. So there are people who are community managers. I'm thinking about hiring some people to offer that service to other people and kind of build out my offering. So you might want to think about delegating, because it is, I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of work running a great Facebook group. It takes effort. One of the nice things about Facebook groups is that you can pre-schedule content up to 2 months out. If I can pre-schedule like a day in advance, because like I'm so in the moment and I feel very connected to like what is happening in the world on a day-to-day basis. But that's just me. If you have it in you to pre-plan and then be responsive to the world, do that.
Awesome. So I think we're just going to ask if there's any further questions. I think you've been so thorough.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, I know that was probably like a crap ton of information. So if you want to connect with me, please do. My name is on the screen, Rachael Spiewak, and my group is Rock Your Tribe, audience building for entrepreneurs. And if you want to work with me, I have options. So I'm not going to run through it, except for I am launching a monthly membership program, so it's going to be like my group but the paid version, so you just get a lot more personal support, a lot more accountability. So if you're looking for ongoing support to plan, launch, grow your active Facebook group that's ultimately profitable, then you want to get on my spacing out. So my wait list. So that's at triberockers.com. You can get on the wait list for my monthly membership program, which is opening soon.
Awesome. Well, I don't think we've got any more questions.
Okay.
Hang on. Ooh. How to get more engagement in an older, less active group?
So you're going to want to add more people, and you're going to have to just do the work, get in there, go live, ask questions, tag people. You can't just like post a post and expect something to happen. So it's going to take a kind of concerted effort where you're going to be posting things that create engagement on purpose. You're going to be adding new people. You're going to be waking up people who are in the group and reach out to them. Let them know like, hey, this group is getting active again. Thank you so much for riding with me, for being here with us. I'd love it if you come back and check things out. You can create some freebies to get people to come back. So get creative with it. And you can also create opportunities like live video palooza, a 5-day challenge, anything that's going to benefit them for coming back, right? It can't be about your own benefit. It has to be something that benefits them.
Awesome. Oh, I keep missing questions. So the number one skill a community manager should have when hiring for such a role?
You want somebody who gets it, right? Like you've got to have an understanding of what the point of the group is, and somebody who is going to keep it high vibe, and somebody who embodies sort of the ethos of the group, because there's a lot of ways to answer a question, right? So is your style to give a ton of value in the comments? Is it going to be like emojis and GIFs and stuff? Or like you really want to hammer out like, what is the experience of being in this group and how are you going to embody that? And you want somebody who's committed to like embodying that energy that you want the group to be putting out there. I know it's kind of like conceptual way of looking at it. It's like, obviously you want somebody who's like, you know, smart and organized, like that kind of goes without saying. So I feel like the other level to it is like somebody who's going to treat the people in the group the way that you want them to be treated.
No, that's awesome. So my final question, what is your favorite part of your group?
The people. It's just a wonderful group. You know, social media can be kind of a drag sometimes. Like, let's be real, it's kind of a chore, writing shit tons of content, hoping people care, you know, just like the arguments and like all the nasty things that kind of come with it sometimes. And my group is just like a bright spot, you know, in the world of social media, to be honest. And I just really appreciate everybody for being there.
No, too right. Well, that's all the questions we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us.